Hey everyone, I'm Brian T. Bradley. I'm the asset protection attorney. You probably heard about me talk about asset protection at different wealth and investment shows, podcasts and summits, as well as maybe if you're an attorney at some continuing legal education seminar at the National Association of Continuing Legal Education. I am the senior managing partner of Bradley Legal Corp. I'm also of counsel attorney at Laudmill & Laudmill, the leading expert in advanced asset protection and strategic planning, and an advisory board member and lead attorney of the Asset Protection Council. But I want to quickly talk about the limited partnerships and why we use the limited partnerships, for asset protection called an AMLP, Asset Management Limited Partnership, at that second layer of protection, and not like a Wyoming LLC. So let's break down the AMLP, the Asset Management Limited Partnership. It's the second layer in the layering system where we have the base layer LLCs. Second layer would be a limited partnership. Third layer is an asset protection trust, bridge trust. And so the AMLP, this layer comes into play around $400,000 to $700,000 of unprotected net assets for the client. And generally you, the client, or will have around 4 different properties, and possibly you're investing in different states and multiple states. So you're going to be having different LLCs are set up like, a Tennessee LLC and an Ohio LLC, along with personal stocks, like a personal brokerage account, which is not protected. It's not an exempt class of assets. Some cryptocurrency, which also needs to be protected because the IRS classifies your cryptocurrency as a property. And so we have to protect those cryptocurrencies as well. They do exist. And maybe you have a few passive syndication investments. This AMLP is similar to an LLC in that it has a layer of protection around it to limit your liability. And they have some charging order protection, and it's built in, and it has some built-in statutory privacy. This mid layer is the client's central holding company, and it's this mid layer where you actually do want to use one of those states that has really good protection around the LLCs, like Arizona, Nevada, Wyoming, or Delaware. This mid layer protection, the second layer, should be a multi-membered entity. Whereas that base layer LLC level that we just talked about in prior videos can be a single member LLC, because remember, at that base level foundation layer, that single member LLC gets disregarded for tax purposes. But as you stage and grow the protection and you add the second layer, you want it disregarded for tax purposes, because when a client comes to me with 15 pieces of real estate and with 10 LLCs, we don't want you to have to pay 10 separate tax returns for 10 separate tax filings. So by making those base layer LLCs single member LLCs, it helps with tax filings when you add the second layer, mid layer AMLP, because all those K1s flow directly through to the management company. So it's just one tax return filing. But the AMLP is a step up from an LLC, since it also works very well as an asset holding company, because it has 2 different classes of ownership that an LLC just doesn't have. They have a general partnership interest and a limited partnership interest. The general partnership is the controlling interest, and that's typically the client, which gives the client control of the assets to keep investing, and then as the managing member of the LP. That's very important for the client. And the limited minority partnership is the asset protection bridge trust, and that's the ownership interest of the limited partnership. By dividing it up like this, you are getting a separation of ownership and control. And remember, asset protection is about separation, strength, and power. And you just can't get this with an LLC. But unfortunately, I see this a lot with clients having, a second layer of protection being another LLC or a Wyoming LLC and not a limited partnership. We use an Arizona limited partnership as that starting point for clients, as the mid layer, that second layer holding company, and then add the third layer bridge trust to it for that actual strong asset protection component. One of the main reasons we use Arizona for the limited partnership is because of ARS Section 29-333. This section specifically allows for a limited partner to make a unilateral withdrawal from the limited partnership. upon the occurrence of a predefined event like a lawsuit. And this is specifically unique to Arizona because it becomes very handy when we connect that third layer asset protection trust to the limited partnership, because it allows the trust to disconnect from the holding company during a time of duress, or a doomsday lawsuit. This just cannot be done with an LLC. And I want to spend a little bit more time on this mid-layer AMLP and why it's specifically a limited partnership and why specifically Arizona. Beyond the distinction between the managing partner and the minority partner, some of the other specific reasons, we prefer an Arizona limited partnership over a Wyoming LLC, or others are, you have exclusive charging order protection in Arizona as the only remedy for creditors of a partnership. You have an actual statutory distinction between general partners and limited partners by statute. This is better than an LLC, because LLCs can only do this by an operating agreement, and then the courts are going to have to interpret that operating agreement. So then you're subject to a judge. Again, we have ARS Section 29-333, which specifically allows for that limited partnership to make that unilateral withdrawal and disconnect from the holding company during that lawsuit. This can't be done at all with LLCs without exposing you to a claim of a fraudulent transfer. And so we're already building a good list, but just a few others are: the Arizona limited partnership is perpetual, whereas other states have an annual report and filing for LLCs. Arizona does not require listing the limited partners. You only need to list the general partners. So by their nature, limited partners are completely private. And for tax filing purposes, your limited partnership cannot be a disregarded entity. But LLCs, with just one member, are automatically considered a disregarded entity. And remember, being disregarded is not good for liability issues and lawsuits. And so the way the limited partnership works is that all the LLCs that you created at the base layer to hold all your risky assets like real estate and investment properties are owned by that limited partnership, along with passive income and safe assets like cash, stock, bonds, whatever safe assets you, the client, have, they can go directly into the limited partnership without an LLC because they're not risky assets. Same way we would assign your crypto into there, your brokerage accounts. The way ownership and control gets set up is that the general partner or the limited partner, which can be the client, or if they wanted a Wyoming LLC, if they really were, interested in excess privacy, would be the minority limited partnership. And this is going to be the bridge trust. The bridge trust is what's actually going to own that limited partnership. It's the asset protection trust. And that's where the asset protection component really connects and kicks in. That's why I like the AMLP, or the limited partnership over an LLC at this mid-layer, second layer, level, the Carnegie layer. You just have so many additional protection mechanisms statutorily built into them. But it really is the combination of the two working together, the AMLP and the bridge trust, that we want to capitalize on. My recommendation, again, would be to just email me for a consultation, and we will do a full risk assessment and asset evaluation. See what layer and level you're at, whether you're starting out here at the limited partnership level and starting to clean up your system and merge everything in together, or if we actually need to do a full plan with the limited partnership LLCs and the bridge trust, we'll figure that out after a full assessment. We would have to determine, what tools we need, to give you the confidence and comfort that you're looking for. My email is Brian, BRIAN @btblegal.com. And my website is www.btblegal.com. And I hope that you have a better understanding about, what you're up against, and I think that the rest of the videos will be very educational for you as we break down all these different tools that we're using to, fight the world that we're living in right now to keep your assets safe and give you peace of mind and knowing that your wealth is preserved. Thanks for listening. And I hope that this clears up some more information on asset protection.